Welcome to NEWS.am. I am joined now by Stefan Meister from the German Council on Foreign Relations based in Berlin. Mr. Meister, thank you very much for your time.
For the invitation.
Mr. Meister, the speech delivered by the US Vice President at the Munich Security Conference was a shocking one. Jedevans announced that they saw serious threat not from Russia or China, but within Europe, blamed the European leaders in retreating from the values that has been forming the basis of the Western democracy, the transatlantic alliance, and blamed the European leaderships in oppressing the far right parties, especially in Germany, and so on. And the reactions by the European leaders were sharp enough. What do you think? Why is the policy of the United States being changed so radically, and what does it mean for Europe?
Well, I think it was a big shock for not only the German political establishment, but also the whole European establishment. And I think we have to understand that we are in a completely new reality with regard to US policy. The US is not anymore the provider of a multilateral order, of a value-based order, but it is a transactional actor who wants to benefit mainly for its own interests and supports those groups in Europe which undermine cohesion, unity, and democratic principles in European countries. So I think it's getting kind of an authoritarian policy which questions all the principles of European security and transatlantic relations. And I think that was maybe the most shocking thing, that US is willing really to interfere in domestic policy of European countries. And this is what we only know from Vladimir Putin and Russian politics. With its hybrid warfare, with disinformation. And I think this is maybe the last wake-up call for European leaders to become sovereign, to invest in their own security, to be able to act also in its neighborhood, to deal with Russia and Ukraine. It's maybe quite late, but I think if this is not the wake-up call, then I don't know what it should be. And we have this meeting today in France. French President Emmanuel Macron invited European leaders or key leaders to talk about Ukraine and European security. I think that's maybe the new format which is emerging, and the UK is also there. So I think it's now really going to the basics of the European security. After this conference.
And Trump and Putin had a telephone call a few days ago and agreed to start negotiations on Ukraine very soon. Moreover, the special representative of the US president announced recently that there will be no place for European Union around the table regarding the negotiations on the issue of Ukraine. So what do you think? What kind of deal can be concluded between Russia and the United States, and what will it mean for Europe? What could it change?
I think it's obvious that this US government has no plan for Ukraine. I don't see really a serious, sustainable plan for ceasefire. We hear it from different key politicians around Trump, different messages. If it's Kellogg, if it's Rubio, if it's Hackett, So I think there were some common message: Europeans have to pay more. Trump will talk with Putin, and there's a willingness already to give up some conditions which were key for Ukraine without starting negotiations. But then if there are questions about how this negotiation should look like, how a ceasefire agreement can really look like, there are no concrete ideas by this US administration. I think what they aim for is to have a big summit with Putin and Trump. Trump loves big summits and then agreements to hand over to Russia the territories they have occupied, to confirm that there will be no NATO integration, and then the Europeans will have to secure this agreement, and we will have a partly withdrawal of the US from Europe. So I think that's nothing which will function with Putin, who has no interest in some Ukrainian territories, but wants to control whole Ukraine and wants to challenge also Western dominance or US dominance in the world and European security as we know it. So I just don't see how this can be a sustainable ceasefire. And I think it's high time for Europeans to think about how they can secure a ceasefire agreement and to supply also something which puts them also on the negotiation table. So if we are willing really to for instance, to protect a ceasefire agreement, to send some peacekeeping forces to Ukraine, to seriously invest in Ukrainian defense, I think then we will be, as Europeans, will sit also on the table. If we just do lip service, or mainly lip service, like in the last 3 years, and supply a little bit, then all these decisions will be made without Europeans, and unfortunately also not really with Ukrainian participation, in terms of negotiations.
So, what do you think? Are the European countries ready to send troops to Ukraine as a security guarantee, which the president of Ukraine demands right now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that the Europeans are neither by capabilities, so they don't have the troops, they don't have the equipment, nor by mindset, so by their strategic approach, ready for this. But they have to become ready. So I think the article by Keir Starmer, UK Prime Minister in the Daily Telegraph, and also this willingness of the UK to send peace forces to Ukraine, and now this meeting in Paris shows that there are activities by key European countries to rethink this European approach and get ready to send maybe on one point peace forces to Ukraine. So I think we have to get ready. We are not ready yet, but we have to get ready, because this Trump administration is a disruptive one, and they will not care about who will secure a ceasefire agreement. So we have to secure it, because it's about our own security. And I just can say, I hope this is the wake-up call that the European decision makers really come to terms and invest and supply and do the things which are necessary.
Does the current stance of the United States show that the main priority for the Trump administration will be China? And that's one of the reasons that lay on the basis of this policy.
No, I think it's even more fundamental. So yes, it's China, and I think it's also the Middle East. I think Middle East is more important and is somehow linked also for Trump with Ukraine and Russia. He wants to get rid of this topic, but he really wants to have an agreement in the Middle East, and he wants to be the peacemaker between Iran and Israel. And then it's China. Sure, it's definitely China. This is the main challenger for the US. But I think what we have to understand, this is a very different US. This is not about multilateralism. This is not about values or fundamental principles in international relations, but this is purely about US interests. So US domestic interests, economic interests, and the declining willingness to be like a peace force or a peace actor in the world. So, and I think we are really we were already heading towards such a US, but Trump is really creating a new reality, not only in US politics, but in global politics, because he seems to be closer in his approach to Vladimir Putin and to Xi than to democratic leaders in Europe or in other parts of the world. And I think that creates also for authoritarianism a new reality in the world.